Hey, it's Rebecca, and today we are going to talk about fit and modifications that you can make on your bike to fuel your adventures. One adjustment that people might not think about with bike fit, and that bike fit can be, your frame is your frame size, but there are a lot of alterations that you can make based on stem length, handlebar width, putting spacers, raising your handlebar up or down a little bit. And something to think about for that, how to figure that out, it's a little bit based on your ride style. So something to think about is making sure you look at your riding style or even where you're going biking, and what you might have a bike set up one way and another bike set up another way. Something else that people don't always think about in adjustment is what you're going to be carrying on your bike. If you've got a big heavy pack, for example, I do a lot of multi-day bike packing events. So if I'm carrying quite a lot of weight, 200 ounces of water, equipment, all sorts of stuff on my back, that's going to change how I ride. It's going to change the pressure on the saddle. It's going to change the suspension that is needed. It might change tire pressure a little bit, and it's definitely going to change the feel when I ride. If I do have a big pack, in your riding technical terrain, it can sometimes feel like it wants to push you over the bike. So once you get your bike fit dialed, you might still make accommodations based on where you're going, what you're doing, who you're riding with, and what you're carrying. I do a lot of different styles of riding, which is awesome. I ride gravel, I ride endurance mountain bike, I do a lot of bike packing, which is multi-day self-support riding. I do some trail riding, I'm trying to do a little more trail riding with my friends. So just like you don't have one pair of shoes, you don't have one outfit. I'm lucky enough to have more than one bike for different uses. So these two bikes are both my size. They both have very different measurements across from the reach, basically. So longer top tube on my gravel bike, longer stem, totally different riding style, still my size, still fit to me, versus a trail bike that's a much shorter stem, way lower standover height, and shorter top tube length. This is my size as well, but it's going to fit totally differently and ride totally differently than this bike. There's one bike in particular that I use for a lot of different purposes, and that's my Niner Rocket. And it's a full suspension cross-country bike, not a ton of travel, very lightweight, pretty awesome for a lot of things. I use that bike for a lot of trail rides around home, but I also use it for bike packing events, and I will make accommodations and changes to the bike based on the type of riding I'm doing. If I'm going out for a 1 or 2 hour trail ride with friends, that bike's going to look a lot different than doing a 300-mile self-supported adventure bike ride where you're not sleeping, you don't have you don't have restaurants along the way, so you're carrying a lot more stuff with you. And so what I would do in that situation is, and this is what's really cool, I love how the bike industry is changing with this, is people want to get off the beaten path. They want to go on an adventure on their bike, and so many of the bikes now are set up for that. It's really cool. So my my mountain bike, I actually have a custom frame bag that I can put into the triangle here, and that's going to carry heavy things like my tools, a medical kit, some water, and then I'm going to carry a camelback with some other things. This bike is also great too, because you can put a frame bag in there and you have all of a sudden you have all sorts of carrying capacity. And so what that means is you can just go longer. You can have longer adventures where you don't need anybody out there to take care of you or hand you a water bottle. This bike could be a gravel bike for Rebecca's Private Idaho, a race bike. This bike can also be an adventure bike where I'm putting a frame bag in, I'm putting a big seat bag on, I can carry a sleeping bag, I've got navigational equipment, a generator hub perhaps. Those are all accommodations that, if you have the adventure and you can dream it, your bike can accommodate whatever you got in your head.